in the course of my program and engagement in intellectual discourse, the recent statement of Nigerian National Security Advisor Samana Bado has called to mind, where he alleged that, where he stated that Nigerian security agencies are transferring arms and ammunition to bandits and terrorists. So, if a student or a Baduism, you understand that this is not a man that talks too much. He's not a man that is loquacious in nature. Therefore, whatever comes out of his mouth requires intellectual analysis and discourse. But I'm not taking from that perspective. I want to look at the peace and conflict perspective of proliferation of small arms and night weapons. You know that small arms and night weapon has defied a universally acceptable definition in this season. There is no sectorial definition of that concept. But one characteristic of this weapon is that the weapon is very, very portable. It is durable. It is available. And it is easy to conceal. So that the capacity of that weapon of its concealment has also made it very, very cheap. Because night weapons, small arms and night weapons is the least transparent trade of weapons anywhere in the world. Even nuclear weapons is well known because you can actually determine the level of the stockpiles of every country per time. And remember that after 9th August 1945, the issue of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nuclear weapon has not killed anybody. But this small arms and night weapon has killed over 50 million persons within this period under review. Why? Because it's been deployed in the places of armed conflict where there is war. This weapon is always available for them to use. We also understand that we have about 1,000 countries all over the world that engages in the production of arms and small arms and night weapons. So because of the economic indices and economic contribution of these arms to these countries, they engages in the production of and export of these weapons to war-prone zones and some societies or environment that have least or maxed law enforcement agencies. Therefore, in Nigeria, we come back to Nigeria and look at it from Nigerian perspective. Look at the legal framework that regulates the issue of proliferation of small arms and night weapons. In Nigeria, the only country that has the responsibility for the production of small arms and night weapons in Nigeria is the DICON, Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria. Then we have the Firearms Act of 1959 that experienced a limited amendment in 1966. And the main aim of this legal instrument is to ensure the production, the sale, importation, and the exportation of small arms and night weapons in Nigeria. We have the Robbery and Firearms Special Provision Act of 1984, which then found its way to become an act in 2004. You can be seen in FNA in 2004. Then the 1999 Constitution that made it a part of the exclusive is that the federal government has the responsibility to ensure in the dealing of small arms and night weapons. So from there, you understand that Nigeria did not in the recent time have an effective legal instrument that has the responsibility to ensure the effective control of the movement and proliferation of small arms and night weapons. It's also important to understand that the record show that all over the world, we have over 875 million small arms and night weapons. And 675 of these small arms and night weapons are in the hand of the civilians. And these civilians constitute those that legally obtain the license to be in charge of these weapons and illicit trade. Because small arms and night weapon is this type of weapon that is amenable to personal use. So it becomes very difficult for us to separate because there is what we call under the Interpol, they have the small arms and night weapon tracing management system, which includes number one is the unique identification of that weapon because every gun have its specific identification and markings. But we have a challenge issue of ammunition and cartridges. Many of them don't express this marking. But in terms of arms, small arms and night weapons, they express a special identification number that can easily identify which country is using the arm, which industry actually manufacture this arm. Before I forget, remember, we have up to 1,000 corporations or industry all over the world that engages in the production, sales of arms and ammunition. And these companies are also using this as part of economic indices of the country. The country engages to ensure, to open spaces for them, to ensure that they will be able to trade on this small light arms and small arms and night weapons. And one unfortunate thing is that these small arms and night weapons is the least transparent trade of all weapons all over the world. Even nuclear weapons, we can actually have the statistics of nuclear weapons, which country have the expected number of stockpiles of these weapons. But small arms and night weapons, the trade is always carried out in secrecy, especially the illicit trade of small arms and night weapons. And one other thing that after the 9th August 1945, when the nuclear weapon was deployed in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the small arms and night weapon has continued to be the major cause of conflict in many places all over the world, because small arms and night weapon within that period under review has been used to kill more than 50 million persons within that period. To ensure, just to let you know that this weapon is one of the contributing factor of conflict all over the world. But I'm also state that small arms and night weapon does not start violent conflict. But when conflict have started, it helps increasing the level of damage and the level of injury that can be cured by any of the parties in the conflict. And the issue of terrorism too and bandits, for them to be in possession of these small arms and night weapons, someone does not, because he have arms and armed weapons, become a violent person or become a terrorist. You first of all become a terrorist before you begin in search of the weapon for you to deploy. Then let's look at how do we trace the small arms and night weapon under the regime, under the constitution. Under the international police, we have the tracing management system, which has two components. Number one component is the unique identification of arms, because every arm has a special identification number that can easily identify the company that produced it, the country that is also using them. But the only issue we have here is that the issue of ammunition and cartridges, they hardly have these special numbers. So it becomes very difficult for you to actually trace them. Then the other concept is domestic tracing. And under the domestic tracing, we have two components. Number one, whether the weapons enter into the country legally and find their space into the hand of the jurisdiction of the state security agencies. Then the second one is if these were able to trace the weapon to the hand of the security agencies, then at which point did this weapon left the hand of security agencies into the hand of the bad boy, the terrorists, and the bandits? And that is one of the things that National Security Advice did not actually clarify. Because there are two components. When the weapon has lawfully entered into the hand of state agencies, then how did the weapon left them? There are two things that can happen. Number one, the state agency can willfully transfer or sell this weapon to the bandits or the terrorists. But there's one other concept that sometimes you find that there is not a willful transfer, because I have had many stories where these bandits or terrorists will attack our security agency. The security agency will lose their weapon, they will lose their vehicle, they will even lose armored tanks to these bandits. They will kill a policeman, they will kill a soldier, and they collect the gun. So in that instance, is it still right for us to say that it's Nigerian security agencies that are handing over this weapon into the hand of the bandit? Because one is willful, one is under compulsion. In many cases, this security agency will lose their life. Then the another question is, to how extent have we developed this capacity of the security agency in terms of physical fitness and how to manage instances of that nature to ensure that they protect their arms and their weapons from transferring into the hand of the bandits, as the case may be, or the terrorists, as the case may be. There are another component of tracing of weapon is the issue of the way and manner the weapon enter into the country, because as I have stated earlier, that small arms and night weapon have the least transparent trade of weapon anywhere in the world. So do we say why the weapon is entering into the country may not enter into the hand of the security agency, become illicit trade of small arms and night weapons? And this illicit trade, to how extent have we placed our law enforcement agency, especially in the border, our porous border, to ensure that we protect the movement of these small arms and night weapons and its proliferation? These companies that are over 1,000 companies all over the world that engages in the production of small arms and night weapons, both of them are commercial entities. They would like to make sell. They want to sell their gun. Sometimes we find that they contribute in the instigation of conflict, violent conflict, to enable them make sales of these small arms and night weapons. So if you want to trade these arms, you're supposed to understand one thing. How did the weapon came to the country? Did it first of all enter into the hand of security agents, that's within the jurisdiction of the state, before it being transferred into the hand of the bandit or the terrorist? Or did he enter into the country by illicit means? Because I've had many issues where the custom will arrest trailers load of small arms and night weapons. and they begin to infiltrate to the country and become a very dangerous thing for us to actually manage our national security. Therefore, I cannot conclude this with this enlightenment without at least trying to prove a solution. What do we do? We're supposed to increase our effective monitoring mechanism and tracing of this weapon. That is number one. Number two, we're supposed to have an effective law enforcement agency, well trained and trained program for our officers in that regard. Then, secondly, we're supposed to have what I call the CBO, community-based organization, in terms of peace building and conflict management. Because if a conflict has ended in a place, for example, the issue of Boko Haram is about to end, we have the issue of the IPOB2. To how extent have state agencies integrated the people part of the society? And that's what the United Nations called the DDR, demobilization, disarmament, and reintegration. So, to how extent have we carried out this program of disarmament? If we disarm, how do we demobilize them and integrate them back to the society? Sometimes this can actually be capital intensive, where we have to provide resources for them to start their life again, take care of the family, provide psychological training, and to be able to help them cure their traumas. So, to that extent, to how extent have we contributed in that community-based program to ensure that these people are actually integrated back to the society and be able to gain this arm from them? Because one concept of disarmament is to enable the previous users of small arms and light weapons to surrender them to the hands of the state. But so far, we continue to have this high level of proliferation of small arms and light weapons within our jurisdiction. It becomes a threat to our national security, becomes a threat to human security. I also want to say something about the issue of human security, because the issue of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is not only issue, I believe it's the human security issue, not even issue of national security or military security. Because you find out that the issue of light weapons and small arms deters foreign investment to the country. It causes a health condition to the people. It causes the issue of the breach of the fundamental human rights of people, issue of torture, issue of armed robbery, violent crime, issue of rape. They're using these small arms to commit this level of violent crime. To then economic indices too, because if we find out people can no longer go their farm because this proliferation of light weapons and small arms in the hand of the bandit or the terrorists, that also affecting the economic concept of the people. National security advisors have come out boldly to make this statement. And the thing is, they have now shifted to the economic managers of the country to look at the human security component of the proliferation of these small arms and weapons and to see how far they have become a threat to our national security as well as the human security component. Because if you not look at the issue of poverty, issue of corruption, issue of mistrust and injustice within the system, we continue to have the issue of insecurity as well as the proliferation of these dangerous weapons. Thank you very much, and I believe that the series will continue to discuss, and I believe that National Security Advisor will provide a better clarity for us to, provide a better enlightenment so that we'll be well guided. But my advice is also to a member of Nigeria Security Agency, please be patriotic. Patriotism is the concomitant rise of the belief of the people within the system, trying to create a faith in the system. If Nigeria have trusted you and give you our arms and ammunition, please guide it effectively. How should we be cooperating and conspiring with the enemies of the state? Because this gun in the hand of the enemies, they can use it against you. They can use it against me. They can use it against the members of your family. Please, if you have faith in this, I believe Nigeria will get better. And to the government, please, there is a need for us to increase our welfare packaging for these security officers to be able to increase the level of their patriotism within the country. I remain my humble self, Denis Opobe, a peace and conflict analyst. God bless you. Thank you very much.